Huge breaking news this week about election fraud. Donald Trump was indicted in Georgia for a broad criminal conspiracy to commit election fraud. Meanwhile, the Gateway Pundit broke a story with new evidence of election fraud, and I am shocked that the mainstream media is covering the story about Trump, but not the story about the election fraud. We are going to cover it all this week on Wolves in Finance. Now, I read your comments, and I know there are people out there who do not understand why I talk about elections on a finance channel. I think this topic absolutely belongs on this channel. You cannot have finance without free markets, and you cannot have free markets without freedom. Without elections, you are not free. So this is absolutely important to talk about. So let us start with the new indictment of President Trump in Georgia. This is a massive indictment. It basically throws everything at Trump, including the kitchen sink. It claims that everything, including tweets, phone calls, news broadcasts, were part of a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election. The problem is that there does not seem to be a crime. These are all the same actions that many people have done before to contest elections. There cannot be a conspiracy without a crime. The crime was, allegedly, what Donald Trump calls the perfect phone call. But this call can be interpreted different ways. To convict someone, you have to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that they are guilty. Well, if the phone call can be interpreted in different ways, that gives me some doubt. It's not a crime to complain about an election. That's called free speech, which is protected under the Constitution. It seems to me like this is an extremely weak case brought for political reasons. The craziest thing is that I think this case in Georgia will actually work to Donald Trump's advantage. He's been trying for years to adjudicate the 2020 election in open court. Now he's getting that chance. He will be able to submit evidence showing corruption in Georgia elections and discuss it in the court case televised to the world. Do the Democrats realize that they just gave Trump the biggest possible platform to tell his side of the story? I don't see how he can possibly be convicted after he presents his case that there was actual election fraud going on. What Trump also has in his favor is that each week, more evidence is coming to light about fraud in the 2020 election. Every time this happens, it is proving Donald Trump right. This brings us to the story published last week by the Gateway Pundit. They obtained a police report from Michigan. This was from an investigation that occurred roughly 1 month before the 2020 election took place. The police were investigating election fraud. This was not some small investigation. This was a long and detailed report with the involvement of the Michigan Secretary of State and Attorney General. According to the report, a city clerk noticed that a woman dropped off 8,000 to 10,000 new voter registration forms. That's strange. Why would one person possibly drop off so many forms for new voters? Not only that, when they looked at the forms, it looked like the handwriting was the same on many of the forms, and the addresses listed did not actually exist. Also, the signatures on the forms did not match the signatures on file with the Secretary of State. The police report explains that they showed the forms to an analyst at the Secretary of State's office, and she confirmed that many of the forms were clearly fraudulent. This seems very suspicious. What's going on? You have to realize the Attorney General of Michigan, Dana Nessel, has been saying to this day that there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud in Michigan in the 2020 election. Why didn't she tell us about this police report? It seems like she is lying. Keep in mind that this is the same attorney general who is right now trying to put Republicans in jail for creating an alternative slate of electors, something that has been commonly done in previous elections. So she is prosecuting Republicans for fake election crimes, but ignoring the Democrats for real election crimes. That is corruption. So the police interviewed the lady who dropped off the forms. She explained that she was dropping off the forms as part of her job. She was paid $1,150 per week. Her job was to find unregistered voters. Also strange, she explained that she was paid by prepaid cash cards. I'm not sure that's legal with the IRS. How are they paying their payroll taxes? So the police raided the offices of the company. They found a voter registration operation going on. There was a table covered with voter registration applications, computers, semi-automatic rifles, and pistols. What? Why does a voter registration company need semi-automatic weapons? There was a whiteboard in the room with writing that said, "Hot Topics," and then underneath it, it said, "Weapons in the field." So they were using these guns in their operation to sign up voters. Was this voter intimidation? The police investigation happened in Michigan, but it was clear that this was a multi-state operation. The case was turned over to the FBI, which normally handles multiple state crimes. There is no indication the FBI continued the investigation. The Gateway Pundit contacted the police lieutenant who wrote the leaked police report, and he stands by the report saying, "The report speaks for itself." So this is a confirmed instance of voter fraud that has been covered up by the FBI. The implications of this are very significant. This operation was part of a company called GBI Strategies, which was Democrat-funded and operated out of 20 states during the 2020 election. The report states that the police found GBI Strategies received $1,571,386 from the Doug Jones for Senate Committee and $242,133 from Joe Biden for President. And they received a lot more than that. What is alleged is that rich Democrats were donating large amounts of money, tax-free, to voting-related nonprofits. This money was then funneled to GBI Strategies to get Democrat votes. This is illegal. Political donations are not tax deductible. Why isn't the IRS doing anything about this? To be fair, Democrats have been saying that this story is overblown. The police determined the guns were legally owned and not related to the voting operation. They say that the evidence shows how safe our elections are because we stopped the fraud. They explain that no arrests were made because the FBI took over the case. But here is the problem with what the Democrats are saying. There is actually no way to tell if they did stop the fraud. We need to check if those 10,000 voter applications were actually used in the election. But when the Gateway Pundit asked for the applications so they could check against the voter rolls, they were denied. 10,000 voter applications are being held in secret by the FBI, and they will not release them because it is a pending investigation. So these may actually have been fake votes that were cast in the 2020 election. We don't know. And for some suspicious reason, they won't let us check. This is where things really get crazy. Since the FBI had this very detailed police report of election fraud, why didn't they do anything? That means that both Christopher Wray and Bill Barr knew about this and sat on the information. It seems like election fraud on behalf of the Democrats was protected. I have a feeling that if Republicans had done this, they would be in prison. Does anyone watching this video doubt that Republicans would have gone to jail? That is what it means to live under a two-tier justice system, and it is not right. It is stories like this that support Donald Trump's argument that the 2020 election was stolen. At the very least, the Democrat leaders in Michigan have been lying that there was no evidence of voter fraud. So when the government says, just trust us, there was no election fraud, I'm not sure we should trust the same people who have been lying. I have more to say on this topic, but unfortunately, I cannot say it on YouTube because they censor anything related to election integrity. This video is probably already getting censored. Isn't it sad that we no longer have freedom of speech in this country? I cannot speak freely about concerns about government corruption. Luckily, I have my own website where I can say anything I want. So there is a part 2 to this video that is uncensored. It is on my website, wolvesandfinance.com, for members only. Thank you to everyone who has signed up for a membership. For $6 a month, you are helping me to keep making these videos. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching, and I will see you over on the website, wolvesandfinance.com.